Hello, everyone. It is Susan Edwards at 311 Broadway, historic downtown Paducah, where positive energy works. And first of all, I would just like to say good day. Here it's just becoming afternoon, and I know that I've got folks watching me from all over the world. And to all of you, I say greetings, whatever time of day it is. And this is my first time going live on YouTube. So if you are having any trouble hearing me, if you've got problems, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down and say, first of all, are you hearing me okay? And is everybody seeing things okay? Let's see if I can get the chats. Hi, greetings. Gina, hi. Okay, so it looks like everybody can hear me. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, and I'm coming through okay? Okay, great. Okay, I do this all the time on Facebook, and I'm very confident on Facebook, but this is my first time on YouTube, so woohoo! And I did want to go live on Facebook or on YouTube because, look, you guys have really been supporting me, and clearly there's a huge interest and a desire to hear more of these messages. So I wanted to move it to this platform. So let's get a little housekeeping out of the way first. And I'm going to stall a little bit so that people get a chance to tune in, because I know a lot of people wanted to join me live. But don't fret if you didn't make it to the live. I'll be saving this and posting it and probably cleaning it up a little bit. Well, first of all, anytime that I channel, well, let me tell you who I am, first of all. Okay, so first of all, I am a Reiki master, and I'm also certified in the Ho'oponopono practice, which is the ancient Hawaiian prayer chant. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. And I'm certified to be a practitioner as well as a teacher. I'm a sound healer. I'm not certified in that, but I've taken some advanced classes in that. And then I'm also I'm a self-ordained minister, and it wasn't to start a church or make a statement other than for me standing up and saying, God, I'm here. I am your servant. Let's see, I'm a light worker. Yeah, so I've been interested in all of these things all of my life, and it feels like this is the time when it's time for me to step forward. So that's why I'm doing this. We will be, well, it was interesting today. They had me clear the space where I'm filming today, and that indicates to me that they may show up during our live session. So I don't typically do a lot of live channel, but if they show up and they have something for me to tell you, obviously I will share that with you. Typically what I do is I meditate, and then I do automatic writing, and I make notes and do the writing into my journal. And then I read from the journal because I want to get their message correct. So for those of you who say, wow, she's reading from a journal. Yeah, you're right, I am. But I have a feeling that they're going to show up. So what a wonderful thing that would be if they do. We will be opening ourselves up to the spirit realm. So let's go ahead and do some protection. So the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and it is good. So be it. So that's just my little prayer. I've surrounded ourselves with the white light of the universe, and I have asked that any and all who come from the highest source for our highest good and the highest good of all. One more little piece of housekeeping. Any advice that you think you hear me say, be aware that I am speaking only from the spiritual and the energetic realm. I want you to take all of the precautions that your local health people have suggested that you do in order to protect yourself. This is in no way, shape, or form telling you what to do in your physical life. I'm coaching you on a spiritual level. So follow all the rules. Home health, healthy at home. That's what we say around here in Kentucky. So a couple of my videos have been getting an awful lot of play. And with that, I've got a lot of thumbs up, and I've had some, not very many, but some thumbs down, and some comments that clearly don't see the worldview like I see it. And look, I'm human just like everybody else. And so, I do try to read the comments, and the ones that are really challenging me on some of these really fundamental beliefs, um, I listen to other points of view, evaluate and observe, and then I make my own decision. And so in one of my meditations earlier in the week, I was saying, okay, am I really hearing the right message? Am I really, am I doing this the way that God wants me to do it? And so that's been kind of on my mind. And I don't know if, I know a lot of you are sensitives, meaning that you pick up energies around you a little bit more than other people. And if you noticed, there was an energy shift earlier in the week, like Monday, like late in the day, Monday, Tuesday. It had a really, really different sort of feel to it. And I'm like, because there's been a couple of like major energy shifts throughout these last couple of weeks. And this one was, it felt good. This is what it felt like. It's like all that tension, it just sort of let it go. It was a release, and it was really interesting. And I'm sorry I can't respond to all of the comments as they go. I promise I will get back to them. So I'd be interested if you felt an energy shift earlier in the week, put a thumbs up or say, yeah, I felt that too. And so I had a lot of things that I needed to do in my three-dimensional world, like Monday and Tuesday. And one of them was bookkeeping. And Tuesday morning, I woke up and they're like, you're making this video. And I'm like, well, actually, they meaning the angels. I was like, well, actually, I've got a little bookkeeping to do. And they're like, well, no, actually, you've got this video to do. And I'm like, I've learned throughout the decades, it's pointless for me to argue with them when they want me to do something. It's like, fine, what do you want me to do? So if you haven't seen it already, there's about a 4-minute guided, it's not really a meditation. It's a presentation of the explanation of what I'm going to tell you about here in just a minute. And it's about finding our inner child and what we're going to need to do next to ensure that we have really, really positive outcomes. Okay. So I really highly encourage when you get done watching this, go watch that little 4-minute clip. That's what they were like, get it done. So I got it done. So again, I was kind of questioning myself and, what's going on? Am I really serving the divine, the way that the divine, God, source, the universe, however, whatever tradition works for you. I use a variety of terms. Don't get hung up on the terms. We all tend to know what God is. And so I will often use God interchanged with the divine. Okay. Whatever works for you. So in my meditation, this is the answer they got with the question that I had about, am I doing what you want me to do? Okay. This was on the 17th. My darling, from your perspective, it is impossible to understand it all. And it is a frustrating exercise to try. Stay centered in the love, and they had me do L.O.V.E. frequency. Because a lot of people think that love is like, oh, I love chocolate cake. Love is a frequency. And they've asked me to talk about that in a little while. So stay centered in the love frequency. Keep your motives pure. Keep your ego out of it, meaning, Susan, keep your ego out of it. So don't let people, hurt your feelings and all that kind of stuff. Keep your ego out of it, and you will be fine. All is unfolding as it should. And then one of the several pushbacks that I had gotten from these messages was that these weren't angels and that they had no business and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And so, and that they were overstepping. So what the angels told me in this meditation, now we're going back to the message, we are here, meaning the angels, we are here on behalf of God and cannot and will not go further than we have authority for. And that was a good relief for me. Now, here's an answer to a lot of people's question about, well, how do you know who you're talking to and how to use your discernment? The next question, they had a question and they asked me the question, do I wish to continue? So they ask permission. And boy, is that a key point, because when you're working with the spiritual realm, just like when you're working with humanity, okay, there are people who will just take, okay? And when you're working with these advanced beings or any beings over in the spiritual realm, when they ask permission, you know that you're in good territory, okay? So they asked me, Susan, would I like to continue with this mission of channeling and providing messages? And I responded, yes, I do. So I gave my permission. All right, so I said, well, what about this recent shift? You know, what's this energy shift all about? And then they answered, now is the time to start working on outcomes, time to envision better ways of being. Do not be fooled. This will not be easy or welcomed by the old structure of power. There will be pushback and it will be strong. And I said, well, what is to be our response? Stay centered and rise above. The sheer power of a global resonance of love will shatter the false like a singer bursting a glass. But remember, there will be broken glass, and many who drank from that vessel will be thirsty. Despite looking for any, and they will be desperate, looking for any new glasses, willing to allow them to drink from them. So in other words, the old power structures without their glass that they had been drinking from. Let me read that part again because I kind of stumbled. They will be desperate, looking for any new glasses, willing to allow them to drink from them. It is imperative for the vessels of light, and that's you and me and all of the people who do God's work, okay, to create this power network linked by love frequency for protection of this or from this. Keep seeing the world the way you would want it to be: balanced, green, happy, thriving, and you a part of it. And I said, is that why you had me do the video? And then they said, we had you put that video together to instruct people on how to do this in a way that they can understand. And then here comes their sense of humor. No special tools needed. I do love that they have a sense of humor. And if you haven't seen the video, this doesn't make a lot of sense, but in the video, we talk about going back and remembering your inner child and healing that inner child, okay? So then their instructions were to go back to your favorite memories as a child, the ones where you were alive with wonder and joy. That is where you need to go to find that frequency, meaning the love frequency. Do that thing you did to bring you joy. We are not asking you to do something that you have not done before. You already know how. Do that. And then I said, well, what of those who had a bad or a hard childhood? Excuse me. Sadly, those in your life, meaning when you were a child, stole what time was given to you to develop this ability to join with the world. But do not fear, that inner child is still there. You must only realize that it was someone else's opinion of you that you accepted as your own. That was when you were a child and not in power. This is now, and you are an adult and have power. Go back and understand. Take a mind's eye journey back to a particular moment to observe from your new adult point of view. Words like, you're stupid, you're awful, you're a failure, and such were because they saw your power of life and potential, and it threatened them. They had been told the same bad story, and they never took time to understand what was false and then to fix it and to change that false narrative. And then I said, well, how do we fix it? How do we proceed? And they said, well, one reason that it hurt so much then and continues to hurt now is that you know it's not true. It doesn't match up with who your inner being knows to be true. A radiant, joyful expression of God's love. The further off from that truth, the more hurtful and potentially damaging you start to think those false narratives may be true. Then you continue to find reasons why they might be true. You act out, you fail, you live a life of chaos. And then you say, see, they're right about me. I am a failure. And I said, well, how do you fix that? First, go back to the time when you started to believe this false narrative. As a powerful adult, observe, see the truth. Know how upset you get when you're in an argument with someone, especially one that you care about. How hard you try to get them to agree with you, to see it from your point of view. Yeah, well, as a child, you didn't have many tools. So you started crying in frustration, and the pain was the result. They didn't agree with your understanding that the world was filled with wonder and opportunity and love and fun and joy, because they themselves had stopped believing it to be so. That's the point of contention right there. They couldn't see it, and they couldn't see having you see it. Well, how do we move past that? Observe it from an empowered point of view without emotion. Realize it is just their limited, distorted perspective. Make a new decision as an older, more mature being. When you start to actually like yourself, it may feel uncomfortable. Let that be your guidance as to how far from your actual truth you are. How much of this belief is not yours, that it's someone else's. When you tap into God's view of you and your inner self, you see the truth. You are one with God. How can there be anything but love for you? And I said, well, what about behaviors? Because, not everybody's like, well, sometimes there's some behaviors. We are glad to draw the distinction in loving your inner being isn't the same as being out of balance with dissonant behaviors that are not, it's not approving of those behaviors. You can love the inner being and not like the behaviors. When you truly understand you are a child of light, your dissonant behaviors fade. The addict puts down the addiction. The hate monger softens and realizes their family. you slide into a more joyful life and way of being. And then I said, well, how do we do this? And they said, well, we have given you many ways. Getting quiet is a good one to start. Listen to God's opinion of you, not others. They're wrong. And then they said, there is no right or wrong way to get to this destination, and that each is to follow their own path. And then I said, well, what about all this pandemic stuff? And they said, well, do this. In other words, get quiet, see yourself, heal your inner child, find that frequency of love. Do this, and it will shorten, and you will emerge in a better place. We want you to focus on being joyful. Tune into gratitude, joy, God's love. It is mission critical. Do it now. And get there as close to that frequency as you can. We promise you this is the most important job right now. Love one another, love God, love your neighbor as yourself. And then they had me sign it. It was Archangel Michael and Archangel Raphael. And they gave me an image. And the image that they gave me was Archangel Michael was standing guard as Archangel Raphael was planting a garden, and they were both glowing beings, okay? And then they asked me to give you the example that they've given me several times, which is the radio frequency. So I brought up a little, a little portable radio here. We've all seen them, And when they tell you to tune into the frequency of love, love is like a frequency. And this is actually based on science. So when we think and we have emotions, that can be measured by tools that scientists and doctors use. That's biofeedback, etc. And so there's a frequency to love. And typically it's like 528 and above hertz. Okay. So if you use the example of a radio, we've all played with these basic little radios. And when you turn it on, okay, a lot of times you hear static and white noise. And that's because you haven't tuned into the frequency, that sweet spot where you can pick up the radio station. And so when you do that and you fiddle the dials a little bit, you pick up a radio station. Yeah, now there's lots of radio stations, okay? And all you have to do is just turn the dial. Or a couple of backs. Okay. And when you do that, you tune into a different radio station. And so what they've told me in the past is, if you want to find love and joy and you want to tune into that radio station, then you have to set your radio dial to that station so that you receive it. And that doesn't mean that pain and sorrow and grief and all of the icky stuff isn't going on. It's still broadcasting. Just like, let's say 88.8 is the radio dial frequency for all that low stuff, all the stuff that you really don't want to be a part of, okay? And then you've got, let's say 101.1 is your jazz station, and 107.7 is rock and roll. And you can listen to any station that you want, but if you want to listen to rock and roll at 107.7, and you keep tuning your dial down to, 91.5, and they keep playing grunge, whatever, okay? You can't really be too upset about that, because that's not what that frequency is brought. They're not playing rock and roll. If you want rock and roll, you got to tune into the rock and roll station. So if you want joy and happiness and all of those wonderful things in your life, then you got to tune into that. And healing your inner child, seeing the way that God loves you, loving yourself, loving people around, getting balanced, all kinds of ways to get to that frequency. But don't be upset when you're not getting rock and roll when you're tuned into the jazz station or the punk rock and roll that you don't particularly like. So that was the example they wanted me to give you. tune in to the right station, and that will help. All right, so when I woke up this morning, and they often give me like sort of guidance as I'm just coming out of sleep. It's a wonderful time for me. And they showed me my silverware drawer. Okay. And this kind of answers a question. One of the other pushbacks that I've been getting is, well, angels don't use that vocabulary. Well, you're correct. They don't speak English. They speak in a much more soul-centered way. And it's up to me, the vessel, to interpret it. And so I use my worldview, my vocabulary. So you're correct. They don't speak like that. So the image that they showed me this morning was my silverware drawer. Okay. And we have our big tablespoons off to the right in the little organizer. And they showed me with the spoon turned upside down. So the cup was like this. And I'm going, all right, why are you guys showing me silverware and silverware drawer? And I'm like, what? And they were like, well, this isn't receiving. When you turn the spoon up so that the bowl is up like that, that's receiving. And so when you want to receive all of these wonderful things and the outcomes that we want to see, you have to turn the spoon so that it's receiving. So if you're the spoon, you have to turn away from all of the, look, there's a lot of pain and suffering going on right now. There is. And there's just no denying it. But right now, what they're telling me is we need to turn and together create this insanely powerful network of love and focus on what you want, these better outcomes. And that is going to ensure that we come out of this awful, awful situation and recover, and the planet recovers, and we thrive, and the planet thrives. This is mission critical right now. So you've got to bring your frequencies up. That's not easy when you've got alligators jumping at your rear end. I get that. But if you're in the swamp and you want to get out of the swamp, you got to be looking around and saying, well, which is the path to get out of here? And so look for the path and let's get out of here. And they've given us very clearly that the path is through the love frequency. Focus on what you want, be in the receiving mode, get creative, get quiet, listen to God, and we're going to be okay. So I hope that helps. I know I've seen a lot of comments going through. I can't see that far, so I can't see exactly what they're saying. I promise you that I will go back and try to answer as many of them as I possibly can. I want to thank you all from all over the world for joining me today. You are the pillars of light, okay? So if you were drawn to this channel, if you are watching this message, you have a mission, and that mission is to spread the light, spread the love, and join with all of us. Thank you for the work that you're doing. It is appreciated. Blessings to you. If you're struggling, we send you all the strength and energy that you need. And it's a community, and we will get out of this. Thank you for listening. Have a very, very blessed day. Stay safe, be well, and let's make a beautiful, wonderful outcome. Blessings. Bye. If I can figure out how to turn it off. Okay. Yes, I want to stop streaming.